Hello, welcome to day 14 of the Query Folding Challenge. And in today's challenge, we are tasked with selecting the customer key, email address, English occupation, and yearly income for the customers whose birth date was not on a weekend, that is Saturday and Sunday. For this challenge, we'll be using the AdventureWorks database and the customer table. So let's head over to Power BI. The first step, as usual, is to connect to the data source. You would like to connect to the AdventureWorks database. Select the customer table, then click on OK to load it into Power Query. Click on OK. After loading the data into Power Query, the next step is to select the columns that are relevant to your questions. Based on the instruction, we have to select customer key, email address, customer occupation, and yearly income, whose birthday was not on a weekend. Go to Choose Columns, click on Choose Columns to select the columns of interest. Customer key, birth date, yearly income, and English occupation. Click on OK. After choosing the columns of interest, we want to confirm that this list of columns is correct. Email address is missing, so let's add email address to the list. To go back to add more columns, just click on the settings, then add email address. We've added email address to the list of columns. What we want to do next is to select customers whose birth date is not on a weekend. So how do you check if a date is a weekend or not? Let me show you how to do that. The first step is to go to Add Column, click on Custom Column. Date has a function called date and weekday. With the weekday, you can get a day of the week. That's day of the week. Now we know that we can extract a day of the week from each birth date. This function also has the option to specify which day is the first day of the week. Now we already know that Saturday and Sundays are weekends. That means Monday is the first day of the week. To specify that Monday is the first day of the week, you type day.Monday. This tells the function that Monday is your first day of the week. Click on OK. Now you get numbers ranging from 0 to 6, representing the days of the week starting from Monday at 0. So for you to exclude weekends from this data, all you have to do next is to go to the custom column, click on the drop down arrow, and just apply a filter. This time around, you want to apply a filter for where the values are less than 5. Since 5 and 6 will be Saturday and Sunday, then click on OK. With this alone, you've been able to solve the problem. Remove the custom column you just added. It's important that you confirm that query folding is still working fine. Go to the last step, and you see that view native query is still enabled. So we can see the query that has been generated. Based on this, we've been able to solve the problem. We can as well remove the birth date. Now we have all the columns that we need, but we can improve this solution. Notice that the query that has been generated has 2 inner queries. We can improve this to reduce the number of inner queries that have been generated. Let me show you how to do that. So all we have to do next is to optimize this. We're going to go to the step that added a custom function for us. We can copy the condition and remove all these steps You don't need it anymore. Then you can add a new step here. For this new step, we want to select rows. This is how to filter data in Power Query. You use table.select rows. Then you reference the table. In this instance, the table will be the previous step that we've applied, which is remove other columns. Then we can now apply the condition where we are checking if the birth date is less than 5. If it is less than 5, that means it is not a weekend. But if it is 5 or 6, that means it's a weekend. Close the bracket, click on OK. You can rename this step to remove weekends. Now we've been able to apply the same condition without adding new columns. And this also reduces the number of steps that we have in our solution. We can right click on this and confirm that query folding is still working fine. We still have one in our query. We can still improve on this solution one more time. And all we need to do is to apply a trick I've already introduced in the previous videos if you've been following. All you have to do is to make sure that you're applying the condition before selecting the columns. That way, you see that the query, you now have a single query. There will be no inner query anymore. So this solves the problem for us. And just to be sure, we can just confirm if we've selected the right number of columns. Just head over to the questions. We see customer key, email address, English occupation, and yearly income. Whose birth date was not on a weekend? We've been able to solve this problem. We have all the columns here, and just remove the birth date column, and this is what our solution looks like. So we don't have the birth date column. We've taken it out. We never needed it. We can remove it from here, go back to the list of columns that we selected earlier, and remove the birth date column. We needed it for illustration purpose. Now that we are done with the illustration and want to see our result, we don't need it. To realize that this query is simple, it's straightforward. So the main takeaway from today's challenge is how to find weekends and weekday and how to use them to filter your data. We've also learned how to optimize your steps such that the query that will be generated will be very simple. This brings us to the end of today's challenge. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like this video. See you tomorrow.